Now then, we're going to go to another one that, again, okay, I've had Jack Keane on a lot. We've talked about him on a number of the shows that you've been on here, and a lot of the stuff that he says is just kind of nonsensical. But in my view, this is a new low, and this is shocking to me to listen to what he lays out as alleged logic points here. Just watch this.
What the Ukrainians want to do is punish Russia as much as possible, take as much territory as they possibly can, prevent Russia from taking more territory in the Donbass region, and go into negotiations next year in the best possible position. And as long as the administration keeps stalling and protracting the war, and that's what restricting the use of U.S. weapons in the Ukrainians' hands is actually doing, slowing down Ukrainians' efforts to be able to gain leverage over the Russians, makes no sense militarily, makes no sense politically.
Okay, let's talk about that. What makes sense militarily? I want to look at those things in order. So one of the first things he said was the objective of the Ukraine side was to seize as much land as they can in order to force Putin to negotiate. But when militarily is merely holding on to a piece of terrain, tactically useful?
In that part of the world, not much. One of the advantages the Russians have had over the rest of us over many, many years was their recognition that ground in and of itself is meaningless. Ground is only important insofar as it provides the force with an advantage, either in defense or offense. In other words, giving up ground for a better position in a way that helps you destroy your attacking enemy is something the Russians have learned, and they do it quite well. I think Jack Keane is simply divorced from reality. Now, there's something else going on here that needs to be kept in mind. There has never been any viable strategy for this proxy war in Ukraine. The objectives were never clear because they didn't make any sense and they were meaningless. The objectives were harm Russia, degrade Russia. We've been hearing this over and over and over again. Now, march into Russia and grab ground. You know, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. It never did. The problem is, and this is what the Russians, I think, are worried about, when you have no strategy to begin with, and if you have no strategy, inevitably you end up at a place called Stalingrad. That's kind of the lesson of war. But we have no strategy, and their worry is that as it becomes increasingly obvious that the whole thing is falling apart, that as a compensation for no strategy, we turn to the nuclear threat, which is why you've had these inferred or implied statements about the use of nuclear weapons and playing with nuclear fire.